was one of the ugliest games I've ever had to sit through. Team USA absolutely won this game. I mean, I don't think for a second any of us thought that they would lose this game coming in. They just got too many WNBA players on the team. But boy, oh boy, was this a tough watch.
Ugliest game he's ever had to sit through. That's not hyperbole when you're watching Team USA demolish an opponent by 43 points. When you win 91-48 and the commentary isn't about dominance but about dysfunction, something's deeply wrong. This wasn't just another blowout in international basketball. This was a window into the internal politics, tearing apart what should be a showcase for American women's basketball.
A lot like we saw the influence, let's just be real, of the half-court, slow the game down, where the ball goes to die offense of Stephanie White. The Stephanie White influence, it felt big tonight. I mean, you let Caitlin Clark run yesterday, Kara Lawson. Today, nah. We're not letting.
The Stephanie White influence. That phrase right there tells you everything about what's happening behind the scenes. White, who just took over as Indiana Fever head coach in October 2024, is now apparently dictating pace and style for Team USA's exhibition games, and her half-court, slow-it-down offensive philosophy is the exact opposite of what made Caitlin Clark a generational talent. The day before this game against Senegal, Clark had 17 points and 12 rebounds running Kara Lawson's up-tempo system. 24 hours later, under White's influence, she's getting 18 minutes and 8 points in a game that should have been a highlight reel.
Caitlin Clark, 18 minutes, 8 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Oh, the constant lineup switch outs. No rhyme or reason. Why in the hell Caitlin Clark's not starting in these games? Beyond me at this point.
Look at that starting lineup decision. Puerto Rico put up more of a fight than Senegal did, and yet the most dynamic player in women's basketball is coming off the bench again. Paige Bueckers started, Angel Reese got her minutes and posted a double-double with 10 points and 13 rebounds. But the player who draws the ratings, who fills arenas, who changes defensive schemes just by stepping on the court, she's watching the opening tip from the sideline, and here's what makes it even more suspicious. USA Basketball posted the starting lineup right as the game tipped off. The day before, when Clark started and dominated, they announced it ahead of time. When they benched her, they waited until the last possible second.
Way downtown, let's check it out. Way downtown, boom, boom, with a long three. And you could tell Caitlin's game was discombobulated all night long. She did not look comfortable out there, and it just felt like she could never get in her.
Watch her body language in that three-pointer. That's not the smooth, confident motion we saw all season with the Fever. She's rushing it, second-guessing, playing like someone who doesn't know when she's coming out or how long she'll be in. Discombobulated is the perfect word for it. You can't get into rhythm when you're playing 18 minutes with constant lineup changes that have no apparent logic. The steal and layup showed flashes of what she can do, but those were isolated moments in a game where she never got comfortable.
Your boy, meaning me, not only did we have the Stephanie White influence, it was the Stephanie White shakes hands and meets the UConn agenda tonight. We saw that with the starting lineup. I posted online. Boy, the agenda is thick. And I mean, that's thick with an extra TH.
The Stephanie White handshake with the UConn agenda, that's not a casual observation, that's pattern recognition. Look at who's starting these games. You need to check at least one specific box to get opening tip minutes, and it's not about who's playing the best basketball. White coached at Vanderbilt before taking the Fever job. She's got connections throughout women's basketball, and somehow the player who just won Rookie of the Year, who broke viewership records, who sold out arenas across the league, she's not fitting the criteria for a starting spot on Team USA in exhibition games.
Get any better. CDS, y'all are desperate to turn all the fans away. No one gives a crap about these players They're boring. Bored shitless watching this game. So uninteresting unless you put Cece on the court. Why do they have the old washed-up point guard in there? Cece not starting is truly the dumbest shits ever. Kara Lawson is in over her head. There was just no rhyme or reason to what the decisions.
Social media caught it immediately. Fans aren't stupid. They watched Carol Lawson let Clark run the previous game and saw what happened. 17 points, 12 rebounds, complete control of the offense. Then they watched this game and saw the complete opposite. Boring, slow, disconnected basketball that made a 43-point victory feel like a chore to watch. The comments section lit up with one consistent theme. Nobody gives a damn about watching this style of basketball. They tune in for Clark. When she's marginalized, the product suffers, even in a blowout win.
A woke joke. Woo! Woo-wee! I mean, what in the world? Oh, boy. I mean, I'm trusting the process, but I'm slightly confused. We're all slightly confused. Robin Lundberg. Yeah. This USA lineup.
Here's the comparison that should terrify USA basketball. The men's team would never, under any circumstances, bring Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James in their primes and have them coming off the bench in exhibition games. It would be considered insane, career suicide for any coach who suggested it. But with the women's team, the biggest star in the sport is getting 18 minutes while the coaching staff experiments with lineups that have no chemistry and no apparent purpose, beyond checking boxes that have nothing to do with winning basketball games.
Give Caitlin Clark the ball in the backcourt. Yes, I noticed it. I noticed the freeze out. If Angel got the rebound, she never flipped it over to Caitlin. I was like, what are you doing? Why are
The freeze out wasn't subtle. Angel Reese grabs a defensive rebound, and instead of immediately finding Clark to push the pace, she's either bringing it up herself or passing to someone else entirely. That's not basketball instinct, that's a choice. When you have the best passer in women's basketball on your team, someone who can turn a defensive rebound into a three-pointer in 4 seconds, you get her the ball. Unless you're deliberately trying not to.
any kind of a better team, they get their ass beat. It would have been, if Puerto Rico would have had one more good WNBA player on it, this game would have been a little bit more interesting. It would have been a little bit a bigger struggle. For sure. Absolutely.
Kaylee Copper never passing. That observation matters because it reveals the offensive structure or lack thereof. In a functioning system, the ball finds the best playmaker. Clark averaged 8.4 assists per game during her rookie WNBA season, leading all rookies and ranking 5th in the entire league. She's proven she can create for others at an elite level, but when teammates are operating in isolation, when there's no flow to the offense, when possessions become one-on-one showcases instead of team basketball, her greatest skill becomes irrelevant.
What to expect going forward? I don't. Is Caitlin Clark ever going to start a game? Is that going to happen? Is the UConn handshake with Stephanie White's offense gonna keep Caitlin Clark down for the rest of these games? I sure hope not. Why? I gotta sit through this shit.
Nobody on Team USA is playing well. That's the damning assessment from someone watching closely. When you're winning by 40+ points and the analysis is about how poorly everyone's performing, that's a coaching and system problem. The talent gap between Team USA and Senegal is enormous. These American players are WNBA professionals going against a team with maybe 1 or 2 players at that level. The fact that it still looked awkward, still felt disjointed, still produced ugly basketball despite the lopsided score, that's on the coaching decisions.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Turn her loose and let her run, and you come up with 17 and 12. It's just that simple. Let her facilitate the ball. She is the most dynamic playmaker in women's sports. Hey, we got Caitlin Clark. Nah. We don't want to do that. Look, I've never seen a team win by 40 and not look good. Here we are. Yet, here we are, actually.
Here's the uncomfortable truth that needs to be said. If Puerto Rico had one more legitimate WNBA level player, this game gets interesting. Not close necessarily, but interesting enough to expose the dysfunction. Team USA is relying entirely on superior talent to overwhelm inferior competition. There's no cohesive offensive system. There's no defensive identity. There's no clear rotation pattern. It's just throwing better players on the court and hoping the skill gap is wide enough to cover up the lack of preparation and strategy. That works against Senegal. It won't work against real competition.
Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. Oh, the Stephanie White apologist will be all up and through here. Okay. Go ahead, say you're sorry. I mean, that's fine with me. Tell me what you think. Make sure you hit some.
The question going forward is whether Caitlin Clark will ever start a game in this tournament. And more importantly, whether the UConn handshake with Stephanie White's offensive philosophy will continue to suppress the most dynamic offensive player in women's basketball. Because here's what the previous game proved beyond any doubt. When you let Clark run, when you give her the ball in transition, when you build the offense around her playmaking ability instead of forcing her into a half-court system where the ball goes to die, you get 17 points and 12 rebounds. You get the player who changed the entire conversation around women's basketball. Never seen a team win by 40 and not look good. That sentence should be plastered on the wall of the Team USA coaching office. It's the perfect encapsulation of what's wrong here. The scoreboard said dominance, the actual basketball said dysfunction, and the player who could fix it, who's proven she can elevate everyone around her, is getting 18 minutes and watching from the bench while the offense stagnates and the pace slows to a crawl. So let's talk about what this means for the future of Team USA basketball and for Caitlin Clark specifically. Because this isn't just about exhibition games in early 2025, this is about the power structure in women's basketball, about who gets to decide how the game is played, and about whether star power and fan interest matter when they conflict with internal politics. Stephanie White is now the head coach of the Indiana Fever, the team that drafted Caitlin Clark first overall in 2024. That relationship is going to define the next phase of Clark's career, and if these exhibition games are any indication of White's offensive philosophy, we're looking at a fundamental conflict between what makes Clark special and what White wants to run. Clark thrives in transition. She's a killer in the open court, making passes that other players can't even see, creating advantages before the defense can set up. Her court vision at full speed is what separates her from everyone else. But White's system, based on what we're seeing here, is half-court oriented. It's methodical. It's about set plays and structured possessions. It's the exact opposite of what unleashed Clark at Iowa and what made her successful in her WNBA rookie season when Christy Sides let her push the pace. Think about the position this puts Clark in. She just finished a rookie season where she won Rookie of the Year, set the single-season assist record, and brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA. She did that playing a certain style of basketball. Now her new coach is implementing a system that contradicts everything that makes her effective. Does she adapt and potentially diminish what makes her special? Does she push back and risk being labeled difficult? Does she just accept reduced production and hope fans understand it's a system issue? And here's the thing about these exhibition games. They're supposed to be auditions for future Olympic teams, for world championship rosters, for the biggest stages in international basketball. Caitlin Clark is 22 years old. She's got multiple Olympic cycles ahead of her. But if the people making those roster decisions are the same ones benching her in exhibitions, if the coaching philosophy that's dominating Team USA is antithetical to her game, what does her international future look like? The UConn connection keeps coming up because it's real. Paige Bueckers is getting starting minutes. Gino Auriemma's influence in women's basketball extends far beyond Storrs, Connecticut. His coaching tree, his former players, his philosophical descendants. They're throughout the power structure of the sport, and Clark, who played at Iowa and represented everything UConn wasn't. Fast-paced, three-point heavy individual brilliance over systematic precision, she's on the outside of that network. Watch that initial interaction from the Senegal game again. Clark hits a deep three and there's no celebration from the bench, no excitement from her teammates on the floor. It's just another basket in a game that's already decided. Compare that to how Iowa celebrated her shots, how the Fever crowd reacted to her performances. The energy is completely different. And energy matters, chemistry matters, belief in what you're doing matters. Now look at the rotation decisions. There's no consistency. Clark plays 18 minutes, but when does she play them? With whom? What's the lineup combination? What's the offensive scheme when she's on the court? Nobody knows, including apparently Clark herself.